Hello? It is. I just started it. You need a service folder?
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Is there enough room for all of us under that shade?
Hopefully.
You poor thing. Thank you for being here. Thank you. That's very nice.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's a little hot.
I put sunscreen on.
I bet. Yes,
I'm a
yes.
friend.
Oh, God.
Okay.
To be continued.
Hi.
Yeah, Daddy put it out. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll do it together.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is hot out, so any of the men would like to take off their jackets. Please know that.
Maybe yarmulke?
Will the pallbearers please step forward?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Down here.
Right here.
Yeah, we'll sit next to my dad, and Ira's gonna sit on my other side. Rachel and Aaron, do you want to sit right here?
I'll stay.
What's going on? They need a service folder?
Aaron and Rachel.
Alright, we're going.
Unless somebody comes just looks older than you, they need to see. There's a lot of
There is a lot of those people. Alright. What's up?
I say we stand off the side.
Go to the back.
Neil.
Right here. Where are we going?
Okay, I can try talking to the cemetery, see if they have more.
I'm not sure. I don't work here, but I will check. I'm with the funeral home, so I don't know. Rachel?
What's up?
Are you guys okay wherever you're going to go? Are you going to be out there? Because everybody's on. It's on the cart. You're just walking.
Are we good in the back?
Okay, are you comfortable?
The Hebrew word for funeral is levaya, and it means to accompany. So now let's symbolically accompany Eileen as we take her onto her final resting.
Yes.
No, later.
3, 2, 1. Please stay in place and watch your toe from behind you remove the tail in the back. Now we're going to the black rolling right in front of us. Once you put it down, you may release. Thank you so much, Michael. You guys can go back with the rest of the time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So we're not getting everything this time.
With the camera, you guys.
Family and friends, before we formally begin our service, Cantor Laurie Akers will sing a song that was particularly beloved by Eileen.
Starry night, with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills, in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you try to say to me, how you suffer for your sanity, how you try to set them free. They would not listen, they would not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you then, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night.
Thank you, Ken Lori. Our Jewish funeral service begins with the Kriyah, or tearing the black ribbon. It's a custom that dates back to two biblical moments. First, when Jacob saw what he thought was the blood of Joseph on his coat of many colors, the Bible says that he tore his clothes. And then many years later, when King David learned that his eldest son, Avshalom, had been killed, in his grief he fell to the floor and also tore his clothes. So this expression of tearing has been part of our Jewish funeral service now for over 3,000 years. And the external tearing has come to symbolize the broken fabric and the broken hearts in our lives. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam dayan ha'amen. O blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who is the one judge of all truth. At the end of life, I think the measure of success is not how much you've got, but how much you've given. Not how much you've earned, but how much you've returned. Not how much you've won, but how much you've done. Our dear Eileen, as we all know, gave, she returned, and she did for so many. She is gone, and you can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and be empty and turn your back. Or you could do what she would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. At times like this, words fail us, and so we turn to our Psalms. And in your booklets, please join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down. He restores restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Eshet chayil meyimsa. This is Proverbs 31. A woman of valor who can find? She is more precious than fine pearls. She perceives that her labor is rewarding and her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and she extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom and the law of kindness is on her lips. Her family rise up and they bless her and they sing her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. And now Cantor Lori will lead us in Psalm 121, Esa Enai, I will lift my eyes unto the mountains. A life well lived cannot be diminished by death. The beauty, the guidance, and the inspiration it gave us will shine on as brightly as ever. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, but life leaves a memory no one can steal. There's a beautiful line in the play Wicked that I think has significance for our service today. I know we are who we are today because we knew you. And because we knew you, we are changed forever. In describing the passing of our first matriarch, Sarah, our Bible says that Sarah lived to be 127 years old. And what the Bible doesn't say is that Sarah died at 127, but that Sarah lived to be 127. Underscoring that what is most important in life is how we live and not how we die. Eileen lived a wonderful life of love for her beloved Sherman, lived a life of love for her children, Shauna and Ira, Josh and Tricia. She lived a life of love for her grandchildren, Howard, Neil, Adam, Aaron, and Rachel. She lived a life of love for her sister, Rosemary, for her parents, Harry and Faye, for her mother in love, Thelma, for her extended family, and her many friends. I stand before you this afternoon, not as the rabbi leading this very heartbreaking service, but as Eileen's friend. We shared so many carefree times together. We checked out lots of restaurants around Chicago and casual evenings at each other's homes. But our most significant time together was a life-changing trip to Israel. Just Eileen, Sherman, and I. Just 3 years ago. It impacted each of our lives. Even though it was Sherman's dream destination more than Eileen's, she was a trooper. What was important to other people in her life was more important than what was important to her. Eileen, as we all know, was one of the sweetest, most gentle people I've ever met. Her smile could melt your heart. She was completely devoted to being there, caring for others, for putting their needs and interests before her own. During her last week on this earth, my wife Maureen and I went to visit her in Highland Park Hospital. Her health situation was already grave. She could barely talk. She struggled to open her eyes, looked at Maureen and said, "How is your arm?" Eileen was acknowledging an accident that my wife recently had. Then her eyes closed, and those were the last words we ever heard from her. Always thinking of others. Our tradition teaches us that when we pass on, we leave behind only two things. They are two Hebrew words that not only sound alike, but they come from the same root. One is Yerusha, and the other is Morasha. Now, Yerusha are your material assets. They're your bank accounts, your real estate holdings, or your stocks and bonds. But Morasha is the essence of who you are the characteristics about yourself that you leave behind for family and friends who love you and who will miss you. I don't know, nor do I care to know, what Eileen's Morasha was, what Eileen's Yerusha was. But I can tell you from personal experience what her Morasha was. It was an unconditional love for her family. It was a reaching out and caring for others. And it was a real zest for life. You know, we're all familiar with the very first words in the Bible. Let there be light, and there was light. But it wasn't until day 4 that God creates the sun and the moon. So if God creates the sun and the moon on day 4, what was this light that the Bible was talking about in the very first sentences? So I believe that light was a spiritual light, and that it was the light of God. And since the world wasn't complete, God put that light into each and every one of us. And when we lead good lives, and when we care for others, that light shines forth and makes this world better. Every single person here knew that Eileen Kaplan had that light. And when it shone forth and hit you, it inspired you to do better and to be better. On the long drive up from the city this morning, 2 songs came over the radio that struck me very deeply for the service today. The first was a hit song by James Taylor, "How Sweet It Is to Being Loved by You." How sweet it was for all of us to be loved by Eileen Kaplan. And the second was a 1960s hit song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David and sung by Dionne Warwick. Always something there to remind me. Each of us will always have something there to remind us of Eileen. For as the song concludes, for how can I forget you when there is always something there to remind me? I was born to love you, and I will never be free because you'll always be a part of me. A dear friend once told me, that what you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. Eileen Kaplan, her kindness, her light, will always be woven into all of our hearts. In your memories of her, may you find comfort. In your family and friends, may you find love. And in your hearts, may you find the strength to help you through this very, very difficult time. Amen. Now it's my honor to call upon dear friend Dottie, who has some memories and thoughts to share with us.
So what do you say when your best friend dies and you feel utterly bereft? What can I say about Eileen? My mother's advice to me would have been, one word isn't enough, and two are too many. And she would have been right, but I have to try. When I close my eyes, I see a scrapbook filled to overflowing with photos and memories, too numerous to count, and I am very grateful for the gift of memory. I see us marking birthdays and weddings and vacations in Dorking. I see us in Paris, where just 8 short weeks ago, we were planning to visit a David Hockney exhibit together and dine at a restaurant on an island in the middle of the Bois de Boulogne. And then, in an instant, we were reminded that life can change on a dime. Because our birthdays were 2 days apart, we celebrated together for more years than I can remember, and marveled at the fact that every year we were still 39. One of those birthday dinners stands out above all the others. It was about 28 years ago, early in my late husband Joe's long illness. I knew he wouldn't be up to going out for a celebratory dinner, and so I urged Eileen and Sherman to go without us that year. Without missing a beat, Eileen said, "I don't care if we order a pizza, we're doing it together." And that's what we did, because having time together was always more important to us than where we spent it. I see us on Friday mornings walking at the rec center and then stopping for a bite at Walker Brothers or Country Kitchen. And I see photos of all the New Year's we ushered in together, sometimes even managing to stay up until midnight. Eileen was beautiful and caring, kind and loyal, my friend in sunshine and in shadow. She never wanted to be the center of attention, and she made it clear she didn't want a lot of speeches today. I'm sorry about that, Eileen. We always think there will be time to say and do the things that are most important to us. This is the reminder no one wants to hear, that sometimes, without warning, time runs out. I will be forever grateful for all that we shared, for being so much a part of one another's lives for close to 50 years. There never would have been enough time. Rest in peace, Eileen. Rest in peace, my sweet friend. You were so loved. Your memory will be a blessing. One word isn't enough, and two are too many.
Thank you, Dottie. And now daughter Shauna has some memories to share.
If you were a cookie, what kind of cookie would you be? This is a game our family has played many times over the years. Josh told me that he identifies as a malted milk biscuit, though I never asked him specifically why. I interpret this as Josh is something likable and classic with a little creative surprise upgrade. My father and I have always landed both on ginger snaps, sweet with a little bite, go figure. But my dad has always said that if my mother were a cookie, she'd be a Lorna Doone, sweet, not fancy, uncomplicated, classic, and loved by everyone who meets her. That's how we always described her, because like that simple shortbread cookie, she brought comfort and joy to those around her, never needing to be the center of attention to make a lasting impression. As you've heard before, my mother was the quintessential 1950s teenager. She met my dad in the back of a high school friend's red Buick, and in a twist of fate, straight out of a movie, she ended up sitting on his lap. That was the beginning of a lifelong love story, one that led to marriage, 2 children, and a life rooted in Highland Park. My childhood memories of my mother revolve around her devotion to my father and to our family. She supported him in every way, joining him on countless restaurant, movie, and theater visits so he could write his reviews. She kept our home running smoothly, and as we grew older, she found enjoyment in various part-time jobs, working at an art gallery in downtown Highland Park, at Chestnut Court Bookstore, Concepts Gift Shop, and later at Foodstuffs in Glencoe. She also gave her time as a volunteer at the Botanic Gardens. Travel wasn't always a big part of my parents' life, but when they discovered the joy of exploring the world together, it became one of their greatest pleasures. Paris held a special place in my mother's heart, but she also cherished trips to London, Florida, where ultimately our whole family went together a few years ago, Arizona, and California, especially when those journeys meant reconnecting with family or lifelong friends. From her high school days in Cincinnati to our neighborhood on Sumac Road, from working in Highland Park to the special friendships she made as a member of Congregation Solel, and in more recent years, meeting new friends through old friends' introductions, she built and nurtured relationships that lasted a lifetime. My mother's personality was as sweet as a cookie. Her devotion to my father was unwavering, and her warmth touched everyone she met, whether she was hosting a chili party with my dad, a brunch for friends in Paris, sharing a recipe, hosting Rosh Hashanah or Thanksgiving dinner for friends that became like family, or simply offering a listening ear when someone needed it. My mother grew into being a Grammy, and I know that each of her grandchildren have special memories of time spent with her. Rachel particularly mentioned baking numerous batches of muffins mixed in a plastic bowl where the side had melted from being left near the heat, yet my mom refused to get rid of the bowl. I think we still have it. No? Both Neil and Adam lovingly shared how Mom treated them as grandchildren from the very beginning and how much that meant to them. While traveling in Paris, my mother suffered a stroke, and shortly afterward we learned that she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Adam perfectly captured Mom's caring nature when he shared that just a few weeks ago on June 10th, he called to see how she was doing, and Mom, from her hospital bed, started the conversation by asking Adam how he was doing, since she remembered that June 10th was the anniversary of his Zadie, Mike Rosen's, passing. She faced those final weeks with fear and trepidation, but we did our best to keep her comfortable, to welcome a few beloved visitors, and to surround her with photos and stories and love. We constantly shared our confidence that her next journey would be peaceful. While we are heartbroken to lose her, we are grateful she is no longer in fear or discomfort. Mom leaves me with so much, a soul that loves to cook and isn't afraid to experiment with a recipe. I remember my amazement in high school and thoughts about cooking opening up when we made a lemon bundt cake together, and instead of the water that the recipe called for, Mom put in frozen lemonade concentrate. Such a small change, but such a big improvement. There are many wonderful dishes I'll always associate with her, like Cincinnati chili, my Grandma Faye's apple cake, honey cake, and what my grandma called slices, which are kind of like if mandelbread and arugula had a baby. Mom gave me a sense of good taste and style, I hope, and an appreciation of pretty things, and I hope a piece of her sweet personality and her devotion to friends and family. Today, as we remember my mom, let's honor her by cherishing the simple joys, nurturing our friendships and loving our families. Like a Lorna June cookie, her legacy is sweet and timeless and will always bring a smile to our hearts.
Thank you, Shauna. And now Sherman has some poignant memories to share with us.
I just told Shauna that she stole my lead. So I'm going to do my backup eulogy, which is about the uncaring mechanical universe that doesn't care about any of us. Well, maybe not. All right, I'll go back to the original. And some of you may know, you ever hear this?
Yeah, just hold it facing.
Okay. I don't know how to use a microphone. Some of you may know the story of how Eileen and I met, as Shauna pointed out, stealing my lead in the back seat of a Buick. This was 1958. Eileen was a typical teenager with her poodle skirts, her saddle shoes, her sweaters, even a pink princess phone in her bedroom. My friend Jerry Benjamin, who was still one of my high school buddies, and I were driving through the neighborhood shopping center after school when we came upon a small gang of girls. I knew most of them, but not Eileen. They all squeezed into the car. Eileen ended up on my lap. Now keep in mind that late 50s, early 60s were the era of Ozzie and Harriet, the Andy Griffith Show, like perfectly innocent. Now, that's how I know what was in her bedroom was completely innocent. I was working as an all-night disc jockey. She was going to the University of Cincinnati and borrowed my car when I slept at her house. All perfectly awesome. Our first date came 2 weeks after we met. It was a Halloween twins dance. I don't remember what we wore, but that doesn't matter. The attraction was immediate. A few years later, 1962, we were married on June the 10th and began a lifetime together that lasted 63 years. In fact, it was the night of June 10th when Eileen became ill with that stroke that subsequently was diagnosed as pancreatic cancer. Now, back in high school, her best friend was a young girl named Judy Freeman. We were Judy Libby after she married. Judy lives in Indianapolis, but was not able to be with us today. However, she wrote some memories, including this, which I will read for her. These are Judy's words. Many times I have marveled about how two high school friends managed to remain part of each other's lives for so many years. For me, the answer rests with Eileen. She never allowed us to lose touch, rejoicing in the happy events of my life, standing by my side during some of the difficult ones. Friendship for Eileen was a lifetime commitment. So it will be hard for me to imagine a world where I cannot pick up the phone and hear her say, "Hello, Judy May. How are you and your family doing?" This was the gift of a friendship that Eileen gave to me throughout our lives. Now, one final note. 3 days ago, with Eileen in her hospice bed, in her home, I leaned over close to her face to whisper how much I loved her, how much I would miss her, but it was okay for her to find peace. At that moment, she actually opened her eyes, looked at me for a few seconds, and closed them. Less than 2 hours later, she was gone. But I'll never lose the memory of her, the teenager in the poodle skirt, and the wife and mother of Josh and Shauna, grandmother to Aaron, Adam, Neil, Howard, and Rachel, and finally, my love, my friend, my wife.
Wow. As I listen to those tributes, Dottie, Shauna, Sherm, Shauna, in recognition of your and of Lori's musical talents, as I was sitting there, what came to my mind was, I don't know how many of you have seen the play Hamilton, but if you have, you know that one of the themes of Hamilton is how to pass on your legacy. And there's a verse that goes through the entire play. Who lives, who dies, who will tell your story? Who will keep your flame, and who will remember your name? We join you in being able to tell her story. We will always remember her name, and we will always keep her flame alive. I call back Cantor Lori to lead us in the very poignant El Mole Rachamim prayer.
Only if you're able to do so, please rise. Certainly considering the heat, if you're more comfortable being seated, please do so.
וכן שוכין במרמים, המסין חרחנה, תחר כנפיך השכינה, מעלות קשים חורמים, כי זוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת Eileen Kaplan שהלכה לעולמה, לעולמה. יסירך בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור, ויצרור, את נשמתה. Adonai, Onakarata, V'kamuach b'shalom, b'shalom, al mishkava, v'nomar, Amen.
You may be seated. The translation of that is, O exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Eileen Kaplan, who has gone unto her eternal home. O merciful one, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us all answer, Amen. And just before we conclude the service, I would like to share with you two Jewish traditions. The first is that we have a belief in our faith in the resurrection of the dead. And it's in one of our most important prayers 3 times a day. And according to tradition, those who will rise first are those who are buried either in the Mount of Olives cemeteries in Jerusalem, which is our holiest cemetery, or under earth from the Mount of Olives cemetery. So in a moment, I will place some earth from the Mount of Olives cemetery onto Eileen's casket. The second is that we have a very poignant tradition that we don't allow strangers to bury our dead. So at the very conclusion of the service, I encourage each and every one of you to symbolically participate in Eileen's burial. It is the last mitzvah, the last good deed that you can do for Eileen without asking anything in return or expecting anything in return. Any way to participate is fine. I will demonstrate the traditional way, which is to do 3 small shovelfuls, with the first shovel turned in the opposite direction as a sign of grief, and then 2 in the normal direction. And we do it 3 times because the first could be by accident, the second could be by coincidence, but the third is a real commitment. Now, the origins of our mourner's prayer, which is found on the back of your pamphlets, called the Kaddish, it means holiness. The origins are very mysterious. Angels are said to have brought it down from heaven. It is the only prayer in our faith that has the power to link the living and the dead. But interestingly enough, if you were to look at an English translation of the mourner's Kaddish, there is absolutely no mention of death in our mourner's prayer. Therefore, it causes us to focus on the blessings of life. And Eileen Kaplan was a blessing in our life. So again, I ask all who can to please rise, and everyone who can to join in our traditional mourner's prayer, the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma tivra kirusei, v'amrit malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, Uchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'adola Ubizman Kori V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam V'Amei Maya. Yiporat V'Yishtabach V'Yitbarar V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei Dekudesha B'Richu La'ela Minkol B'Irchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Da'amiran V'Yoma V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Alinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. May the good Lord who makes peace in the high heavens grant peace and comfort to all of us who remember and who mourn Eileen. And let us say, Amen. And you may be seated. As I mentioned, any way to participate in the burial is fine. Our traditional way is to do 3 small shovel throws, with the first shovel turned in the opposite direction as a sign of grief. And it's something that's a little bit harder in our lives. 2 in the normal direction, and we put the shovel back into the earth for the next person. So I invite Sherman and Josh, Trisha, Shauna, and Ira.
At the Kaplan residence at 288 Hastings Avenue in Highland Park. Every Thursday, today from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Monday 5 p.m.
All the different locations at the same time. There is no disrespect.
Yes. I know lots of commercial. Okay. I was trying to think of the 3 pairs that are said 3 times. The pairs that are said 3 times.
The Shimon Esrei. The Chiyat HaMeitim.
Yeah.
The resurrection of the dead. So it's the one prayer it's said 3 times a day.
Okay. And that's part of the shrine.
No, it's part of the Amida. Part of the silent devotion. It's just the
I've
Chiyat
said
HaMeitim.
it in Hebrew, we don't say it in Hebrew.
Okay, so the Hebrew is Chiyat HaMeitim, the resurrection of the dead. Does that answer? Does that help you?
Yeah, that was an interesting question. There was a time when Jews were split on the Christians. When the priests basically did not believe in the resurrection of the dead.
Right.
The Sadducees and the Pharisees led to the confusion between the 2 groups. What synagogue are you with?
I'm with LakeShoreDirectChurch.com.
Oh, yeah.
Please approach the side. Anyone should place a roof on the great making sure believers.
Anyone who would like to participate in the burial, please step forward.
You form 2 lines, one on either side.
The Ravens go to Or Shalom. That's where I know them from.
Okay.
What you want me to do for you? You're sure? Okay.
My wife is buried here also, so I was actually here Tuesday for a funeral. Visited my wife. It's here Wednesday. I always
Locations, you can use the large shovel or the small
She's been gone for almost exactly 2 years.
Wow.
And I visit every Sunday.
Right.
And I go and see my kid in Hoffman Estates. And visit on Sunday too.
Got it.
And I restricted the sign on the door when he's saying, please just leave me alone. Stop pestering me with the country.
You're a great guy. I don't think so. But thank you for asking the question.
It was just interesting to me.
Yeah.
But you're right. I read it in the Hebrew.
Right.
And I didn't really.
Right here. Thanks.
remember
Thank you.
that.
Oh, Dabrava.
Ed.
Who are you?
So you hear it was raining.
Lippitz.
Oh, Ricky
Never
Lippitz,
You never
yes.
know,
Your
right?
colleague,
Yeah, sure.
originally here,
Yes.
Lori, everyone
Yeah.
knows, and then
Yes.
34 years in New Jersey.
Okay, well, welcome back.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
How's your congregation doing? Okay.
Oh, very, very well. Rabbi's on sabbatical right now.
Okay, so who's taking over? Who's,
Basically, Cantor Lori has been stuck with a lot of the
all right.
work. We do have another rabbi, but she's mostly with education director.
Okay, well, let me
We do a music service every first Friday.
yeah, well, I can see why.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah. And the only time I ever saw more people there was on Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count the people on Zoom.
Right. Okay. Well, I hope you found the service meaningful. And,
Yes, it was very nice. And I'm glad I was able to make it here.
Yeah.
I had an appointment to get my car serviced today at noon.
Oh, good.
Got to get it done by 2 o'clock.
Right, because otherwise, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, last week I was there, they didn't get it done at all.
Okay. Okay.
But I had to go home because I
Yeah.
fallen down in the mud and gotten dirt all over my shirt.
I see.
See that I got dirt on this one too. What?
So I hear, first of all, it's great. I hear you're doing double duty. If you ever meet someone on Friday night. Yeah, okay. Your call.
Double duty, more than double.
Yeah, so if you need a little break, call me. Okay.
There's been a lot of blessing. It's been pretty busy, but
Yeah.
it's like now I'm everything.
Right.
Sorry?
Right, right. Yeah. Good. Okay, thank you. You got a great time? Your pulpit. My pulpit is it's free retirement homes. My pulpit is doing services for families. Rabbi. I haven't. I've been doing it. Well, I've been doing it for the last 20 plus years. Before that, I was mostly in the communal side. So I was the head of several.
Oh, no, but in the tradition, yeah, so that's a little, yeah, and coming out. Sure is, yeah, no, absolutely. Yes, but